that's what matters.
So
I can tell you that my father did already like 5 or 6 surgeries through the public system and paid exactly zero.
that's great. And Elmer, if I might ask, because in the country where I'm from, we pay about 120, 150 euro for a monthly fee. It's just an insurance, and you get the healthcare. And what is the
Mhm.
fee you pay every month, if I may ask?
Uh, you mean in terms of what? Your taxes or for insurance?
Yeah, but you say you pay something, yes? A small
No,
amount.
no. We have the public system. Well, you have your taxes, and your taxes pay for it. You are not obliged, or you don't need to have extra insurance to cover that. Most people have because their job offers, and depending on the age, it can be between 50 euros to 100 and something euros if you're like 60 or 70. Like above 60, usually it's more than 100. But you don't really need it because the public system is free for everyone, other than the moderator fees, which is basically for people don't. It's so that people don't go there just because, right?
So that's very cheap. And is the average rate for tax in Portugal about, let's say, 28%, 30%?
It really depends on how much you earn. You have uh,
Boxes.
you have 11% across the board for social security, so basically for your retirement in theory, and then based on your income, you can go upwards to uh, plus 50, plus 20 something, or sometimes close to 50 if you're like a really big earner. But I would say
Yeah,
the average citizen it's about 20,
yeah,
a
that's
bit less.
that's maybe if you come above 60,000 euro or so, that you come in
Yeah.
another box of 50%, 52%.
Well, I can tell you that altogether, in terms of taxes from my income, would be about 35, 34%, more
It's
or
in
less.
Holland the same. I think it's the average, and it's all there, everywhere the same, almost.
Yeah, the average it might be a bit lower, um, but yeah, it's 11 always plus something that depends on your income, um, and the average would be about 20% for the average earner in Portugal.
Yeah, and maybe if you earn a lot of money with
Y-
Pool Run,
You
with
can,
Pulse, you don't even pay any tax over your cryptocurrency, and that's
yeah,
funny. Yeah.
yeah, I don't pay any taxes for crypto right now. If you really want to know the numbers, you can research like IRS tax brackets in Portugal, and it will give you exactly the breakdown per income.
Maybe I visit your country, because I think about 2 hours from Portugal, so maybe I go there in the winter time.
Yeah, let me know if you need anything.
Well, but you are more north upwards. I'm in southern Spain now. I'm near Malaga.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm more at the center level.
Nice talking to you. Have a nice day further. You. Aye, aye.
Thank
Adios.
you, you too. Adios, adios.
Not muted when I joined. We're coming to a new era of pulse chain. It seems.
Yep. It's a lot easier not having to stop my work every 2 minutes to unmute someone.
Yeah, we'll see how long we can go because I thought we were good and it lasted for like 3 days last time. So,
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. Well, and since you're here, I need to leave for a call, so I'll be back later, guys.
Yeah, I can be on for a couple hours.
Yeah,
No big
sure.
deal.
Thanks.
The new Minions movie came out. So, I got to go watch that.
I'm sure I just seen an advert for them making a Think and Grow Rich film as well.
A gamma, a gamma. Hey, is anybody thinking that Pulse is going to launch in July now?
Sorry, I was trying to get my earphones to work, and I've just realized that it's like they're completely dead. Oops.
Gotcha. Is anybody thinking that Pulse is going to launch in July now, or have I already have that horse already?
Oh my god. Like no idea. Like so there is no indication. Like devs aren't like hinting. There's no leaks. Like literally, like right now, we know that they're working on the thing, but they have not given us any update on like how far along they are. So literally nobody, and I mean nobody, has any idea when we're gonna launch. So would be July awesome? Yeah, it would be totally awesome. But is there any like actual information anywhere that hints that that's possible? No idea. We get Richard's the only one who releases any information, so we're waiting for Richard to like tell us something.
That sounds heavy micromanagement. I don't think there's going to be a launch until you see somewhat of a market turnaround. That may not come till after the elections.
Hey, Y Gamma, how you doing?
Doing fine. It's the summertime. It's a Friday, 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, 4th of July
Normal stuff.
weekend, Yeah. Hey, what do you think about this? So, either first they can discuss that amongst themselves, but I'm gonna need them to make haste because Bitcoin's foot tapping the floor, waiting on them so I can go scuba diving again. Which means they're closer to Pulsechain launch. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, so talking about macro markets, like Bitcoin markets, there's so many news stories about like these large institutions saying like the Celsiuses and the BlockFis and like these lending platforms that are like so close to bankruptcy or whatever financial situation they're in. Like it's only a matter of time until like one or at least one of those large entities goes under. Like who knows if that never happens or whatever, but it seems like the longer this plays out, the closer we get to some entity being forced to liquidate some event happens that would push Bitcoin down to like below 17,000, I think is the bottom now. It literally only needs to spike down for like a little bit. And then we can say, yep, we hit the bottom and now we can move on. But what huge capitulation event happens that's like kind of out of nowhere one day, and then we can say, hey, there's the new bottoms, right? Like 11,000 happened. Oh my God, here we are. Now we're good. Like, I don't know. Like, does it never happen? Whatever. Is it next 4 months? Does it just trend down and then eventually it's in the low teens? Fuck no. Like, I'm with everybody else who's hanging, waiting. Because I would also love for Pulsechain to launch. But I don't think it's specifically like waiting for the market bottom. But at this point, market bottom, development, it doesn't even matter. It's all speculation. Like, we're going to launch, I hope, in the next few months. That would be awesome. And then the market bottom for macro, right? Bitcoin market bottom happens, I don't know, in the next 3-4 months. Okay, great. Awesome. I'm literally looking like on the news, just being aware of what's happening and just kind of like just every day, just chilling. I don't see a huge capitulation event that's driving Bitcoin down. One day, maybe there will be in the next month or two. Who knows?
If I
Aren't
was
they supposed to be
Celsius, I'd be
meeting,
worried about a regulatory event.
Yeah, aren't they going to be meeting to discuss the basis points again here pretty soon? Or did they meet already?
Oh, you might talk about interest rates. I think that's happening
Yeah,
in a month or something. They're gonna have it's not near. It's not in the next few months, but was it August maybe? They're gonna do. They're gonna raise interest rates again, and I think it's August is when they're gonna raise interest rates again. Like, I think they're talking like 75 basis points maybe is what I heard, but we'll see what they actually come out with.
I think that might have somewhat of an effect if it just goes sideways, or if it goes up. I think if it starts to go down, I'd say okay, now we're coming back, and that might be a signal.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the
signals.
Yeah, I mean, I went on Glassnode and I looked at the Nupal, which is basically the big Bitcoin, goes up to the dark blue euphoria, which it didn't actually hit this cycle, and then now it's down in the red capitulation area, and it's been in capitulation area for a while now. So according to that, but it was wrong last time. It didn't actually hit the dark blue like it had in previous cycles. So like, how accurate really is that projection now? It's kind of skewed now. But I would say, since we're in that area, I mean, we just that's what I was saying before, is like one big capitulation event that liquidates a bunch of big players, and then we can reset and we can move to the next part of the cycle. And I'm just waiting for it to happen. It hasn't happened yet. A lot of news, a lot of businesses going out. Celsius has regulatory problems, right? They're a lot of lawsuits. They have a liquidity problem. They're effectively bankrupt in all but name. And then BlockFi, right? BlockFi's in the same situation. Or will they be bought out by FTX? Won't they? 25 million, is that a real number? Who knows? But they're like running out of money, borrowing money from the founder of FTX, apparently, like 150, $200 million, last I heard. And like, those lending platforms are just hemorrhaging money, and they're eventually, like, they're going to be kaput. And like, for me, that's a good sign, because that means like those go kaput, then we can move to the next part of the cycle.
Yeah, but you missing the big picture, my man. I'm looking at not that. I'm looking at the regulatory that's going to come down. I don't think that there's anything wrong with the lending platforms. I just think that people need to probably rethink the way that they lending. Lending platforms, in my opinion, are good. when you start to see stablecoin value go down, I think that is going to be like a big uh, point where crypto is really going lower than it should go,
Okay.
or what we think it can go. When the
Specifically,
regulation come down, I kind of like the exchanges and the stable coins being regulated as banks. If that ever happened, I would actually like to see that happen so that it takes the kind of the sabotage, the self-sabotage out of the system.
I mean, okay, like near term, the next 6 months, what regulatory? What are you talking about? What do you
I'm
think is going to
talking
happen?
about I'm
Like,
talking
there's
about
committee
the
meetings
way,
right now. There's committee
right,
meetings, and people are talking about how are we going to how are we going to treat cryptocurrencies under regulatory frameworks. They've been
right, but
slowly moving to that for like
as digital
5 years
assets.
now.
No. Honestly, it's been a lot less than that. You start getting a real movement. I would call it real movement in at the end of 2021. Uh, Before that, you was getting a lot of FFDRCs or federally funded research and development centers that been doing research on, you know, how cryptocurrencies are working, how people are utilizing them, how the system is kind of put together, and then kind of pointing out the weaknesses to Treasury, to the Financial Services Committee, to the places that actually create these regulations or declare these regulations. And me personally, I believe that exchanges and stablecoins should be managed as banks to take the self sabotage out, meaning that if everybody got their money in the stable coin, if that value go down, then that's going to give you a big picture of kind of like how much trouble cryptocurrency or the trading platforms are in, period, right? Because that's foundational pieces of of any platform. Well, of any a platform that mimics, say, something like Ethereum.
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about is next cycle, the cycle after that. You're talking like a roadmap for the next 10 years. Yes, I agree with everything you're saying, but that doesn't affect us today. It's already slow moving. It's been slow moving for like 5 years or something, because that's how long I've been in this space. Probably before then, but I've been in this space for 5 years. Slow moving, the incremental progress continues to happen. Maybe 5 years from now, maybe we get closer to having some solid regulation to even identify like where these assets, crypto assets, fall within the regulatory framework, and then actually having like real laws that make sense. That's like 10 years away. Very little to do with like current market conditions right now, which is what I'm talking about.
Now I get what
Relevant
you're
for the
saying,
long term, of course.
especially by the lending protocol. So it's been certain lending protocols that had certain issues in them, like say flash lending, things of that nature that you've seen in crypto that pretty much put, brought a lot of risk with it. But then there's other lending protocols that probably would do a lot better, or you won't see, so much, crashes. But at the end of the day, it's all based on the value of the cryptocurrency that was lent out, right? If that loses value, liquidation can happen immediately.
These algorithmic stable coins, they've always been a problem for me. I've not liked them. The recent events with like Luna have just proven to me that my initial inclination towards them was correct. So we'll see, how it evolves. Stable coins aren't going away. Even when there's a central bank digital currency, there will still be stable coins. They hopefully will be better regulated, because I personally treat like say USDC as like a bank account, because it's ran like a bank account. They can take my money whenever they want. So I have to stay in good, just like a bank, I have to stay in good, I don't know, good reputation with them. Um, so I do not treat it like a regular cryptocurrency, because it is not. It is admin keyed up and they can take your money whenever they want. So you need to be a good citizen when you're dealing with stable coins.
Well, not just that, it's the stable coin itself. If it's going to be tied to a fiat, and it can't operate as a total fiat, right? It's just tied to the fiat. Well, you have to make sure that you actually have the fiat available to back the system. And whether Luna or USDT or USDC or whatever, what you start to find is that it's not all backed by fiat. What drives the problem is backed by some other asset or some other financial vehicle, which is not fiat. It must be converted. So you can always take money out of the system faster than you have, fiat available within that system. And that is the danger that that I believe cryptocurrency trading platforms really have in general, right? Is the fact that uh, uh, that could actually cause an instability or a crash in the system.
Well,
Because right
so
now
like these,
there's no
so
transparency. It's nothing that says thou shalt, right? Or thou
well,
must, or
it's
whatever the
stable.
case may be.
The stable coin, it's not really stable. It's all algorithmic. A lot of these are
No,
fake
understood, but it's
stable.
tied to this.
So
It's tied
what
to
I
this
do
dollar.
is the reason I like the USDC is because it is literally like I take a USDC, I go to Coinbase, and I get $1. Now, could I do that with $100 billion? Probably not, but I could do it with 100 grand. So for me, it's backed by that entity, and I can get $1 out with no fee. Okay, so it's backed by $1. That's a stable coin for me. So I use it. Now I don't hold a lot of stable coin. I hold mostly real crypto, but that's my preferred stable coin because I know that I can get it back as long as I have an account with Coinbase. I can get dollars from USDC. So it's backed for me. Now, people are doing all these crazy shit like Luna with UST that destabilizes the entire crypto markets because shit is not actually backed by anything. It's just a tradable asset on exchanges, and people hope that if they're very smart, they can make the market set it at $1, and then it'll stay there because they're very smart,
That's not how
and they're
that works.
usually not.
My biggest hope is that we get Pulsechain here in 2022. Even if it's quarter and we slowly ease into the greatest of stakes, and then the next year we see definitely above 1,000x, and then from there, who knows? That's my hope.
Yeah, I mean, people throw out these numbers. I mean, 1,000x will be awesome or whatever, but I don't even need 1,000x. Like, I mean, give me like 100x, right? Give me like 100x, and then maybe give me some more 100x's, and I'm good with that. But like over the long term, sure, I would love 1,000x, 10,000x. I'll be here. I'm just more realistic about when this thing comes out, it's gonna be super volatile, and if we can get a 10x and we get a 100x over the first year or two, like awesome. I'm good with that. 1,000 would be better. I would love 1,000. I mean, I'm not going to turn it away or anything.
Gamma, you'd come off as the person who didn't spend. I mean, I'm not gonna have you throw any numbers out here, but you come off across the person that didn't spend any less than $10,000 on PLS, and any less than $10,000 on PLSX. So I know you're gonna be sitting real good.
Oh God, it's way more than that.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm up there. It's fine. Like I put in what I could afford to put in to not have it out for a year, because I was at the time thinking, okay, if it comes out in 3 months, that's great. But what if the shit doesn't come out for a year? So obviously, I didn't throw my entire bag in, hoping that it would come out in 3 months, which was turned out to be a fucking awesome idea, because we're sitting on a year almost. You know what I mean? Coming up.
Oh, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I'm fortunate enough to be in the position I'm in, where of course, I think you actually know I'm locked into a contract and don't plan on leaving anytime soon, and things are good with work and everything like that. So the hard work doesn't stop. It just changes for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, I just want this shit to come out so that we can just start going, because like I understand that, like, literally we're waiting for the starting. Like the game hasn't even started yet. We're just like, everyone's all bent out of shape and everyone's all like, when are we gonna launch? I'm like, but like that's not even like, we're starting whenever we launch. But we haven't even started yet. It's like we just walked down out of the locker room and we're milling around the track, waiting for the shotgun to go off, right? So we can start the race.
Hey, I got a kind of a different switch gears kind of question for you, Gamma, because I see you as someone who has a lot of wisdom. So, what is your purpose in life outside of crypto? Some people would say, as far as like, I want to pass on my teachings to children in the next generation. Some people say, well, what, climate change, I want to have an impact on. What is your outside of crypto, or maybe it has a correlation, but what is your purpose in life right now?
Right now, to give my family the best life possible. That's what I'm working on right now. Now, crypto is a part of that financially. It's a summertime. I'm spending time with my family. I'm at this point, actually, I'm shedding a lot of the bullshit root stuff that hasn't value, that adds no value to my life, and I'm like shedding a lot of like non-productive stuff that I do, things that aren't gonna don't really add much to uh, me or my family's life. Um, so I'm like reprioritizing stuff is what I'm doing now, and trying to spend time with the family. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Other than that, hanging out with you guys when, now that we can get unmuted, I'll come in here more often. It's like, I'll come into the chat and then I'll hang out for 5 minutes. Nobody will talk and I'm muted. So I'll just fucking leave and do something else. Yeah, I noticed that too. That's why I kept leaving, because I was like, well, I mean, Pulsechain hasn't released it. Why is everybody muted? Well, I understand the theory behind it, but it's like, come on, I'm not getting unmuted. It's been 5 minutes. I'm out. No one's talking. Yeah, that's fine. So we're moving on. So it's cool. But as you can see, we're on just conversation. And then I mean, other than that, thinking about the next 4 years, right? Pulsechain launches, thinking about where we're gonna be in the market, um, just being prepared for like what's my personal strategy for the next 4 years while Pulsechain launches, right? I'm very minimal, right? I'm not chasing a bunch of shiny objects. I'm staking on PulseX. Maybe a couple really, really, really awesome stuff comes out on Pulsechain that I get involved in. We'll see, right? But it's mostly PulseX, HEX, and then wait for the time, right? Wait for shit to evolve, wait for adoption to come, help out the community whenever I can, right? Just like basic stuff. Hey, Gamma, did you see there's a new link, it's like PRC, and it rates like what the coin would be when Pulsechain comes out. Did you see that? Yeah, I'm trying to understand the question. So ERC 20s become PRC 20s. So can you like say the question again? Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. So the Mandalorian posted a link on Twitter, and it was PRC 20. It's the link is called PRC20s.com, and basically the link it's like it's a super bullish tool that allows everyone on Ethereum to see all their free PRC20s tokens they'll be getting on Pulse, and it just gets people talking. I don't know if you saw the tool. I know. Yeah, it's been out for a few months now. PRC20 with an S, PRC20s with the S.com, and it literally just shows you put your address in, and it shows you what you have on Pulsechain and the value of those. So, like somebody, you're saying, hey, oh, you use Ethereum. Oh, did you know about Pulsechain? Oh, well, here's a website you can go to. Put your address in there, and you'll see how much money you have over there. And then they go there and they go, oh shit, I have $100, I have $1,000, I have 100,000, like whatever the number is, right? And it pulls in the Pulsechain assets, and then it will have the dollar value from the like PulseX exchange or essentially exchange, whatever exchanges are there, and it gives you like a dollar value to help them draw them in and go, oh, I have money over there, I should probably check it out. And then they can sell it all, they can hang out, whatever. It's an onboarding tool, very simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
So you're
I like that.
you thought. Yeah, and from what I understand, I mean, you don't even need to. Of course, you don't even need to link with the Web3. You just literally like copy your public address, and you put into the field, and then refresh, and then it'll show you your amount. So very safe. Like nothing wrong with it. It's ran by some devs in the community. So I'll be passing it out to people who I know have Ethereum wallets. Yeah, I checked mine the other day, and I'm like, "Whoa, there's there's cash. Can't pull it out yet, but there's cash." It's testnet. I mean, it's fake money, but yeah, they have it working on testnet. Yes, that's correct. Some of those testnet evaluations are a little moon math, but I like them. I mean, I don't like talking about price predictions, but like, what else we're fucking talking about right now? Like, I just did like back of the napkin math, and I was like, Pulsechain at 3 cents, that would be pretty awesome. That like would, yeah, like 4 years from now. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like we're first week. I'm saying like top of the next bull market, like fucking 3 or 4 years from now, like $3. Oh, that looks pretty nice. Let's see if that can happen. I would imagine everyone who got into Pulsechain and all of the newfound people who want to get into Pulsechain, have reloaded their bags since last year. So there's there's a high probability that this thing is going to start off the right way. It's like the stars are aligning, So I'm excited.
Yeah, we just don't know how it's going to go. The first 3 months is going to be very exciting. That's the only thing I can say. Incredibly exciting.
But one thing for sure is the OGs of Hex will probably dump early because they already have a lot of money. They just need that a little bit more to just really, really retire.
Well, I guess it just depends. I'm in that category. So, I mean, I guess I just haven't made enough money to dump on everybody's heads. So I'll work on that. Give me a couple years. And maybe I'll be a responsible citizen and I'll slowly sell at the top of the market to rebuy at the bottom. We'll see if that happens. I was thinking about Pepe. Because a couple weeks ago, I was on like every day, and Pepe kept on talking about that like every day. Right?
Well, yeah, our main threat is the OGs, actually. They're our main threat.
Who's the main threat?
The OGs, the benevolent whales.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I'm
how
hoping
does it
that
feel to be retired?
I'm hoping that a large percentage of them hopefully will have the long-term vision to hang out and let this thing go up and like mature. But I mean, they're free to sell it at a 1x if they want.
Yeah, I hope so too, but the chances are very low.
Gamma, I wanted to share something with you. So over the past months, I've been, intermittently involved in this group chat, and I've listened to really smart people like you and some others. I graduated college. I've done so much for myself. I've flown a couple of hours in a plane. There's been so many things and positive things that have come out of like, hey, let's reset. Let's talk in the group chat. Let's structure, your finances and just like good advice, solid good advice. Because sometimes, I found myself knowing what to do and knowing the right thing, yet doing the wrong thing, right? But when I hear it multiple times from people that are, came from harder places than me, that have risen to places far greater financially and spiritually because of how they treat their people around them, I've sucked it up like a sponge, and I can only be thankful for this community because no one ever and if someone gives you bad advice, someone's ready to check them real quick. And I really, really, really came upon this quite randomly. My neighbor is a Hexakin, not an OG like you, but a Hexakin, all the same, man. I can only be really thankful. So I wanted to share that with you, because I've been ruminating on the good influences in my life. And that's why I asked you. I said, "What's your purpose?" You shared it with me. I appreciate that. And yeah,
You know, the hardest part is when you intellectually know what you should do, and then emotionally you do something different, and then you just kick yourself in the ass. I mean, I've done that so many times that it's like I can't even count.
If you don't have the money, don't spend it.
Well,
Actually, one thing, like along those lines, kind of, are one thing that I've been thinking of is, you know, you have a lifestyle inflation, right? Lifestyle creep comes upon you, and I'm trying my darndest not to to minimize that as much as I can, especially going into the next like 3 or 4 years, because I think we're all going to do very well. And what we don't want to do is have lifestyle creep and then find ourselves in a position where we're living above our means during the next bear market, which I'm sure there are very many people are doing that. Now, I'm still living in the same house I was living in. I still have my cars, although I'm paid off. Like my cars are paid off and all that. But I know there's a lot of people who, you know, moved into multi-million-dollar houses and they have like 15 Lamborghinis and like, you know what I mean? You don't want to go Nicolas Cage, right? Establish yourself and then, you know, then you can buy the 15 houses.
Hell no. You don't want to put that money into a depreciable asset like an exotic car either.
I mean, do I want to buy a McLaren one day? Yeah. But I would literally need to be a billionaire to do it because I literally couldn't do it unless I had so much fucking money that the $20,000 oil changes didn't affect me at all, which I am nowhere close to. So I'm going to continue driving my Lincoln. It is a very nice car.
Because when I was 24 years old, I worked close protection for a billionaire. And this was close to 20 years ago. He gave me a condominium that was paid for by the company and a Porsche 930 turbo convertible that was purchased from Brayman Motors in South Florida. And you drive a car like that every day, it becomes like driving a fucking Pinto. It's the same if you're out with a supermodel. It's like dating a librarian after so many strikes.
You know, so I mean, my next goal, like, say, you know, when the next cycle happens, is like basically to get a better house. You know what I mean? That's paid off. That's a goal of mine. I don't know. I mean, I have pretty low goals, right? I have very conservative goals in life.
That's a smart goal. You're going to want a roof over your head someday when you're not young and spry anymore and you don't feel like going to a job at Walmart greeting people. So it's best to have everything paid off. Real estate, although it doesn't yield the type of returns that some of these fantastical other things out there do, is solid because they're not making more real estate, and you at the end of the day need a place to live and lay your head.
Yeah, like land, buying some land, but doing rental properties and stuff like that. Yeah, I would think about doing that down the way. But we'll see. Let this next 3 or 4 years pass by, and then hopefully we're all doing fantastic, and then we can all reorganize our finances and put them, and we can do well for the rest of our lives.
Oh, for sure. And with all the ups and downs in the market and even within the Hex crypto community, I got into it a year and a half ago just because I came across the video that at the time was on Discord. I think it was Brandon Balliette's video, and I just lost my dog. I was feeling like shit, so I wanted to watch something that day, and that's how I discovered Hex. And this kid who's way less than half my age was talking about Hex, and I listened to what he was talking about and did my own research for a period of about 90 days before I bought into Hex last year. I guess, yeah, it was still below a penny, and I remember all the excitement when it exploded to a penny, and then we had the all-time high last September, and I watched a bunch of duffers just go out there and say, "Wow, I just made 50 grand. I sold all my Hex." I said, "That's not what this is about, man. It's about holding an asset till it reaches a level that might actually change your life and has the potential to do that." Now, certainly a lot of people went blind into crypto over the past 10 years, expecting sky high returns every time and lost their asses. The conversation that's churned over the past year and a half since the sacrifice phase went down has been, very conservative, even-handed in most cases, especially with a lot of the OG people that are in the Hex community. And the focus has always been on the long term for the people that want to make substantial gains and gains that last. Money usually in America quickly made is usually quickly lost, either by bad decisions or just by, wanting more and more. You have to set a goal, set a number that you're comfortable at getting in or getting out of any given investment. And when you hit that number, know that it was the number you always had in mind. Fuck what the rest of the market or other investors are doing. If that number puts you where you want to be in life for the next 40, 50 years, take it and walk.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I actually yesterday. I re-entered old Telegram group for my very first crypto project, and it failed. There was like 500 people in there, and there's like, why is anybody in here? This thing failed like 2 years ago. It failed before Hex even launched, and I just went through there, and it was like, for me to be like, even consider myself to be like, to make money in crypto, it took me almost 3 years. And then now we're like 2 years into Hex, and I've done well. So that you have that establishment, right?
Took a lot of work, due diligence, and research on your part.
Yeah. So, yeah, people who make it big, like without knowing anything, I feel sad for them because they're probably going to lose everything because they didn't know anything to begin with. They got lucky. Now they have a shit ton of money. Now they have a shit ton of money they can lose in an instant if they move to the next investment and they never actually learn anything. So I believe that somebody who lost a little bit of money learning along the way, and then they strike it big on perhaps something that does well, are in a much better position to maintain that wealth over long term and not put themselves in a position where they're going to lose it all. So, of course, somebody who struck it big, can they be great? Yeah, they can be great, but the odds are stacked against them. So, I only say that to be wary, right? If Hex is your first crypto, then don't think that you're a genius. I don't think I'm a genius. Far from it. But I did put a lot of work in, and I had good timing, and I was following Richard when he launched Hex, so I was able to get on the Hex. And then I threw some money at it, and I just hope for the best. And it turned out to work out. But a lot of stuff I've invested in didn't. But I learned from all those. So that's really what I want to say.
Absolutely. You have to learn from your mistakes as well as your successes.
Yeah. I mean, no one wants to be the smartest person in the room. And, then you're not learning anything. I for sure am one of those people where I do not like to feel like I'm the smartest person in the room. Everyone knows something that you don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. That's why I come here. Sometimes I talk, sometimes I sit back. But today I just felt like sharing because that was a personal goal of mine that's taken me like 2 years. And then most recently I got into Pulse, like, I want to say, not even 2 years ago. So, or crypto, sorry, not even 2 years ago. So I really want to say I do appreciate every single Hex
that's given me good advice along the way. Mr. Jiggs, I've talked to you before right now. You're definitely involved. It goes, there's people that aren't even here right now. PulseX, Jake, even Tam, that hasn't really been in here quite that often much anymore. Not really sure why, but there's a lot of people. And thank you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were too easily disgusted by the downturn in the crypto market, and they threw a little temper tantrum and like, oh, fuck this. I'm not going to listen to any more audio chat. I'm not going to follow it for a while. I don't care about it until it's bounding back up in leaps and bounds. And yeah, it's a very immature way to look at it. And if, you listen to it in the context that Richard's kept everyone up to date about what his involvement in the project is and how he created it. And, he gave you all the key information. He said, don't expect everything to stay peachy keen. There's going to be drastic gains and drastic losses and then drastic gains again, because that's just the nature of crypto. I mean, that's what the flip side of the coin is. You want all this economic freedom out of crypto, you have to be strong and gird your fucking loins through the volatility times too. It can't all be peaches and cream.
Yeah, and then if you don't understand the volatility, if you don't understand the boom bust cycle that we're in, and your portfolio is not that large, then you can get wrapped up in a situation where you're like super happy, and then you're like super depressed because 90% is a lot of money. Like 90% downturn, that's like no fucking joke. But if you just enter the market and you made like a 5x, and then you lost 90% of it, you're down. Like you're a net loss, and that sucks. It's been there. I've been there before. Then hopefully you're in an asset that will go up 100x, 1000x, and then when you hit that next 90% downturn, you're still up 10x or 100x, right? That's like the long-term outlook. But what sucks is that first cycle, or even like not even a full cycle, that first few booms and busts, which Hex had like 4 of them or whatever in the early days. And like you just have to eat through it, and then hopefully the higher lows happen, and then you can survive through those, and then now you're at net profit no matter what happens. That takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of new people in the community that haven't gotten there yet. So this is maybe their first bear cycle, dip in Hex, dip in whatever. And we're going to lose some of them. I hope we don't. I hope people stay strong and they can fight through it, and then we can launch Pulsechain, and they come out the other side, and now they're the OGs that everyone's talking to about how they withstood the long wait for Pulsechain, and how everybody was fudding, and Richard like did the best he could to like update the community, but he didn't. Like the devs are doing their thing, blah blah blah, right? Like in a year from now, everyone here is going to be the OGs everybody talks to. Right? And say, oh, you were here before we launched Pulsechain. Oh, that's awesome. Tell me something, what I mean? Give me some insight into what you know, blah, blah, blah. And that's gonna be everybody here in a year.
Yeah. If you consider the state of the market of Bitcoin being the original cryptocurrency and what it's done over the past 10 years, and you speak to people that have ridden that ride for 10 years, this is nothing new to them. But that being said, I haven't followed the personalities on social media that closely the past month because I've had other more pressing issues in my family. I'd be interested to see what the Michael Saylors of this world are telling their audiences now, and I haven't watched any output from these, figureheads within the community. And I'd be interested in seeing what some of the bigger people in crypto are explaining or trying to rationalize, as far as someone like Mashinsky, what the fuck is he telling his people? I'd be interested. But
oh god, the last tweet I saw was he's on the run.
I'm sure he is. He's probably got 3 Russians and 5 Israeli hitters coming after him. I don't know, but someone like Saylor, he's classically educated, MIT background, great. But I respected Richard's part of the market and his getting involved in it, because I truly believe at the end of the day, having mixed it up with people in the financial world for the past 25 years, that natural intelligence, the shit that you're born with, not the education that you get at some institution, is much more impressive in the end, because that gives you cognitive reasoning beyond some classroom setting where you might have been trained or schooled. Richard has that, and that's an edge in any type of combative environment, especially in the financial world. So when you're born with intelligence, it's something you can't get at school. You can get a degree, you can get an education, but intelligence is what's given to you at birth. That's my firm belief, and it's proven true time after time over the course of my life.
Yeah, like
So true.
Saylor, I mean, like him, he's down like $1 billion, and like he'll be fine if he can weather and not get liquidated, and he comes down to this, and then in like a couple of years he'll be raved as like, oh, he was down $1 billion, now he's up $1 billion. Hey, well, he was the greatest investor ever. Blah 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 blah. Everyone's sucking him off, but right now everyone's like, oh, you're a bad investor because you like. No, it's a cycle. So whatever. If as long as he is good, like as long as that Bitcoin liquidation event is low enough where he doesn't actually get liquidated and he rides it through, he'll be fine. Like Bitcoin's fine. It's not going anywhere. Like I'm not a maxi, but I'm a realist and I understand how fucking Bitcoin works, and it's not fucking going anywhere. Right? There's way too much going on in that system for it to die. But you're only going to get a 2 or 3x, which Richard says on every stream. The multiples aren't that great. Yes, I completely agree with that. Like from market top to market top, you're only going to get like a 2 or 3x. Some people are okay with that. Saylor, hopefully, I mean, I would like to see him get liquidated. So that'll be the capitulation event that would drive us down to like 10K, and then we can move on. But he probably won't, which is good for him. Some
No,
other will do it. I don't know.
The only time you ever face the music is when you sell any given investment at a loss, because no matter what you can write down on your taxes for that investment loss, it pales in comparison to the actual loss. So if you got the stomach to hold in the briskest of bear markets, you're good. You just have to have patience, and you have to have confidence in the product that you're involved with. And given the dynamic utility of HEX and the long-term prognosis for it achieving in the market space, when a huge wave of consolidation in the crypto world comes down and there's only 2 or 3 trading houses that are worth piss, they'll be like the Amazon and the Walmart.com type environment where, you saw that wave of consolidation and the tech bubble bursting. All the shitheads got out of the market. The people that rode in buying domain names and selling them for drastically high prices, they all disappeared. There's consolidation coming in the marketplace, and consolidation will probably be one of the leading factors that brings quality and longevity to the crypto market is consolidation.
It's every bear market, right? In
Yep.
2017, the ICO craze that happened that summer, that's when I came in. I came in the March before. So I was here not really knowing anything during that whole ICO craze in 2017 before the 20K top. A lot of shit after that in the bear market that Hex launched in, a lot of shit died. A lot of those projects, like the one I invested in when I first got into crypto, died during that period of time. There was a lot of them that died, and that just happens. And now we're in a different cycle where now you have the NFTs, right? And you have a lot of these projects, these lending projects that are like going under. And it's like normal. I'm like, I expect it. Like it's like the same shit but different names.
Absolutely. When you consider these crypto lending vehicles like Celsius and stuff, one of the key reasons they go under is there's no recourse for their fucking investors because they're not regulated. And although I don't like regulation in any market space as a general rule, there has to be some foundational controls in place to prevent people from getting skinned or also losing all confidence in the sector. And you don't want to see that. But like you said before, Bitcoin is not going anywhere. It's the original. It is the benchmark by which all other cryptos started off, and it's got its place in history and in the market going forward. So it's going to be there. And there's a lot of other big and great projects that won't make it because their utility, when weighed against the scale of the market, just wasn't as good as the original inventors or developers thought it was going to be. People pump a lot of hot air up people's asses, and then they wonder why something failed. Well, it didn't do what they said it was going to do. It didn't revolutionize anything, but you get to the core of what Hex is designed to do. It can wait out this bear market. That I'm fairly confident of. It can wait out the bear market and provide the utility it was designed to bring.
I mean, I would absolutely put money into Hex before I put money into Bitcoin. I just understand Bitcoin. So, I can speak about it. But it's like the last place I would put money. Like I'd put money in Bitcoin before I put money in real estate or in traditional like assets like the stock market. But right, like Bitcoin is the last crypto asset on the trail of PulseX, Hex as a store of value for sure, and then Ethereum, because Ethereum will do better than Bitcoin over like multiples cycles. And I really enjoy Ethereum. This is the reason I like Pulsechain, is because it's the fork of Ethereum, and I really like using Ethereum, but I don't like the fees. So obviously that's the reason why I like Pulsechain. And then there's Bitcoin. I'm not that excited about Bitcoin. I'm not. Yeah, I just understand it. I understand what it's going to do, more cycle to cycle. Nothing really exciting about it. Absolutely not a recommendation to buy Bitcoin or some bullshit, but you know what I mean? Like buy Hex first. Stake Hex.
I dare say in the near to midterm, once this bear market shakes out, I would predict with reasonable certainty that PulseX and Pulsechain are probably going to eclipse Hex in terms of what they do in value, because that's just the nature of having something new and effective coming into the market.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm looking at projections for, say, the next market top, you have to guess on a lot of these things. You have to guess at like what kind of market cap, quotation market cap, right? You have to and then you have to guess at the price. You have to guess at like how many coins are these aggregation like coin ranking sites even gonna accept Pulsechain at, right? Because they just delete coins from their listings, right? Because that's how they set it. They just make up a number. So for me, I look at it and I say, you know what? Pulsechain and PulseX, probably a top 10 crypto next cycle. What does that mean? Okay, that means that the market cap, in quotation marks, I'm not getting into like all the shit about market cap. I'm saying it's a number that's gonna be on the fucking website, but coin market cap and everything. So say 100 billion to like 200 billion, maybe 500 billion max. And then you have to figure out, okay, what coin supply, and you're guessing, what coin supply are these websites gonna think or write on their sheet, right? So are they going to remove all the OA's coins, and then they're going to times that by price, and that's going to be their market cap on their website, right? And you just kind of like guess that, and you go, okay, well, what's realistic? What could happen? I don't know. I'm just guessing here. So I'm like, okay, Pulsechain, 100 billion, 200 billion, 300 billion fucking market cap, and then what if they take away all the OA coins from their supply and they call that the market cap? I don't even know what they're going to do, but maybe they do that. Then you go, okay, what could the price be if they do that? And then, you know what I mean? I'm just playing with the numbers. And I go, okay, I love those numbers. That's fine. That's probably what they're going to do anyway. I don't know what the exact number is going to be, but they're going to remove coins from the total supply. They're probably going to remove the OA's coins when they're calculating their market cap number, right? and then now you're just doing a projection, kind of a guesstimation. And I'm happy with those numbers that come out, right? For me, when I was doing my math, I was like, Pulsechain could absolutely be like 3 cents. Maybe it's more than that.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's less. I don't know. But it's
that goes back,
realistic.
that goes back to what I was saying when I got in last year. It was the end of the winter, and we were still charting below a penny. So even at that price point, I was still going to do my research, and I wanted to do something big with it. And then, based upon the performance I saw between, say, I guess with the end of February last year and up until the start of the sacrifice phase in July of last year, I saw the type of magic that I wanted to see out of the performance. And, there's so much dodgy analytics that go into crypto in general. I'd say that maybe 10% of the investment community in crypto probably understands that with any degree of certainty. Most of them are people just seeing the quick money aspect of crypto, and they don't understand all the dodgy analytics that go in. I mean, there are, of course, your analysts who eat, read, breathe, and sleep this shit 24/7. But the average, Joe investor who's coming in well below the 6-figure mark, they don't understand it. They just understand, the news flashes, the press releases, and the tweets. So, I hope a lot of people take this time during the bear market and this, opening in the market to buy low, to not only buy low, but going forward to really, really educate themselves about what they want out of the market, how the market works, and to also prepare themselves for consolidation, regulation, because it will come, because it has to come. It's just the nature of things and how the world works. So educating yourself about the finer points of how the market works is, it's daunting. It can be very challenging to someone who's never had any exposure to it, but I myself had to go through it. My background's military and security, and I'd certainly been around enough people in my lifetime that understand financial markets, and I showed it to a lot of people that I knew, and they said, "Yeah, it's it's something you can definitely look into, because if it does what it say it's going to do as far as long-term utility, and I'm talking about PulseX and Pulsechain now, you should be fine, but just be prepared for that volatility once the bear market starts again, which it has."
Yeah, I mean, so say the first 3 months, we look at what happens in the market, and then everybody has to reset their expectations and how they're thinking about it. Because since it hasn't launched yet, we don't even know what's going to happen there. What I'm doing is I'm just looking at like what could be possible out in the future, since we haven't even fucking launched yet.
Yeah,
4 years from now.
The mad minute people that will get all excited when the launch goes down for that first 72 hours to a week, yeah, they're gonna go batshit crazy, wanting to do this and do that, realize some profit, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, it always pays to wait a little bit longer until the dust settles, and if the integrity of the project is what it's been put out there to be, not getting in and trying to hammer, a couple 100x out of it during that first week too after the launch is going to be something you might not want to do. You might want to really wait till the dust settles and we find its foundation.
Yeah, what I'm looking at is like really just one metric, and I'm going to be looking like for the price anyway. Would be like what's the all-time low after launch, like that. What that number is like what I'm interested in, and then of course I'm looking at like trading, like transaction volumes and the network's up and all that technical stuff. But like for price, I just care what's the all-time low. What does it go to in the first 3 months?
Yeah, at some point I'm going to be looking for the first institutional buyer that jumps on board and see what they're doing and what they're buying and how they're buying it and what their ultimate plan for their purchase is. So I do follow institutional trends and who's holding what, and which investment bank is behind this or that, because it says a lot more than even what a whale is doing.
Yeah, that's more like a long-term indicator. But yeah, I mean, of course, that's important.
It's an easy to understand dynamic, by following where the big money is going. Someone like a Ray Dalio and what their take is. And, everyone saw what Jamie Dimon did back and forth with his opinion on crypto. And, it's funny when you watch these industry, titans, initially shit all over something, then they're neck deep in it the following year. So I find that amusing, but also educating.
But mostly, I find it entertaining how uninformed so many people in traditional finance are, that have these executives are, when it comes to this.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's
for sure.
hilarious.
Yeah, I've always said that, because at the end of the day, this is a new world of finance, and it's really got a lot of question marks popping up above the heads of legacy finance operations, for sure. And you take into account how government regulators look at something like this. Actually, a guy I have working for me as a consultant on crypto, he was a former SEC guy, and he really knows his shit. He's as sharp as anyone that I've ever listened to or heard of online. And I liked what he had to say. And, we decided on percentages right away. And I said, I'm just going to have you handle, X amount of trades for me when everything comes down and the airdrop happens, because I don't have the time in my schedule to deal with it. And it's much easier for me to delegate that authority to someone else. So, but this guy's also seen the industry from the private sector and the government sector. So he had a really good handle on all of it.
I mean, what I tell people and what I plan on doing myself is primarily sitting on my hands as much as possible and try not to do anything. Because since I sacrificed for Pulse and PulseX, I'm already as best positioned as you can get. So, and I just don't want to fuck that up.
Same here. Same here.
That's prior experience on my part, where I literally want to sit on my fucking hands, and I'm going to force myself to do so. I mean, single asset staking in PulseX, obviously, I'm going to do that because that's like free money. Why wouldn't I do that? But other than that, we'll see. I mean, there could be some really, really awesome stuff launched on Pulsechain. But primarily, my focus is just core asset, sit on my fucking hands, and try not to fuck myself. You know what I mean? By doing something stupid.
Absolutely. That's my dust settling theory. And I'm not going to be too anxious that first week.
Because so like some people are going to go into the launch thinking, oh, I can trade my way to, like, I can double my money, my coins, right? I can double my coin. Oh, I can double my coins. And then you're like, well, maybe that works out for you. But for me, that's a lot of effort and that's a lot of risk. So, I mean, unless you're not as well positioned as you'd like, then yeah, sometimes you got to take risks. But if you sacrificed, I'd be apprehensive about, maybe if you need to get more, maybe you bring some new money in and you try and trade that up to a position that you like. But if you sacrifice, you're probably as well positioned as you can for at least that batch of assets. Why screw it? Why screw you over?
Yeah, absolutely. The rate that was given at the time of the sacrifice was solid, and there wasn't a better deal to be found.
Yeah, I mean, even the multiple. I mean, mine. I'm okay on Pulse. My Pulse one, I'm up there a little bit, and then Pulse X, I didn't have that much money, so I'm really far down on the list. But even like the multiple puts me at a price point that's okay. I'm happy with it. The price point of what I sacrifice to what free coins I'm getting at the airdrop, whatever price those come out to, I expect it to be more like a net greater than that, if you know what I mean. So
Yep.
I don't think I'll be I don't think the price point will be lower than what I got for sacrifice points. So like, is it possible that it's lower? Sure, but I don't think it's very likely. So, and I personally don't want to screw that up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had long-winded discussions with people, some of whom I onboarded, associates, friends, and I said, they asked me, well, say you were going to sell 10% right off the bat on launch, what would be your target number? And I said, it's well below $0.50. And they said, what, are you crazy? I said, no, my sack was big enough to the point where I'm well comfortable with a figure under $0.50, well under $0.50. And yeah, I could move off 10% of that at the number I picked, and not have any regrets at all.
Yeah. Okay. So we heard it now. 50 cents is the new target for Pulsechain. I like it. I like that target.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at, an all-time high last year, and I expect the new product to do equal production in the short term, especially around the launch window. And I can assure you that my target, it's less than half that 50-cent number.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Since I'm more of a long term, I don't have like levels that I'm really looking at. Because I'm literally gonna ride the market out, and then other than like maybe selling some along the way if I need money. I mean, as little as possible. Um, once the overall market starts getting up towards the like euphoria phase again, 3 to 4 years from now, and then maybe I start selling some to USDC. But that's literally like 3 or 4 years from now.
As far as a euphoria phase, I'm of the frame of mind, going back to what I said earlier, that I think there's going to be considerable upturn once the election in the United States, the midterms are settled. I think you're going to see a spike and a turnaround, and all the doom and gloom prognosticators out there, at least in the crypto sector, are going to be proven wrong now. Legacy financial people talking about commodities, especially energy markets, these people are so fucked up because they're not willing to acknowledge, at least on a business level, never mind the political aspect, just how bad things got fucked in such a short period of time. Literally, they walk in and break something that's working, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. People were much happier 2 years ago with $1.87 a gas, and the effects that energy put into the consumer market pricing and the inflation that's resulted as a result of this pie in the sky green shit. Bottom line is, you got 250 plus million vehicles in this country. Only 2 million of those vehicles out of the 250 are electric. So I really don't know what they were thinking, because energy is so critical to how economies operate, and they really fucked it up bad. and I used to be in the energy markets. I traded crude oil, and I was stunned, as were most of my contemporaries, at just how badly they fucked it up, just so they could say, hey, we're going to throw something new out there and see if it works. It's not going to work because you consider, adoption of green technology versus the realistic production of energy that's green to meet the demand. It's fucking non-existent. It's a joke. And it won't be a reality for at least another 20 years. And I've read all the white papers you can think of. And it's nice to own a Tesla. It's a nice little toy to drive around in. Some of these newer cars that are coming out are, they're high speed, high tech, nice. I've driven quite a few of them from the top to the bottom. And it's a novelty right now still. And there's not going to be a consumer integration that means a damn for, like I said, at least another 15 to 20 years, at least, because you just don't have alternative energy sources, if that's what they're making the golden ring to be, available.
I'm gonna be an electric car laggard, because I have absolutely no desire to own an electric car at this moment. Will there be a time in the future? Probably I will, but right now I don't.
I don't either, and I just don't like the idea of central authorities being able to control everyone's movement by shutting down the electrical grid. That's really a big fucking turnoff for me.
I did one thing that I want to get is I want to get a motorcycle license, and so I can get like an electric motorcycle, but it's like a toy. It's like a go-kart. You know what I mean? I'm not taking my family on a road trip in a fucking electric bike. You know what I mean? I'll take a nice gas car across country where I know I can get fucking fuel and it like every 2 miles, and I'm perfectly okay with that.
I don't need to be checking my onboard system every fucking hour to see where the next possible charge up is. Yeah, it's just bullshit.
Yeah, but I mean, the bottom of the crypto market, I mean, I would expect it by November. I mean, I don't know, I'm just throwing a fucking date out there.
No, you're right.
You know what I mean?
You're right on track with that because it tracks with the most pivotal event that's coming up in the near term. That's going to be the energy market, not the energy market being displaced, but the government and how it shakes out, because the current policies are across the board failures, and it's directly impacting every market sector, but most heavily the consumer markets via energy and its costs built into the market and consumer costs for everything that's out there, from a loaf of bread to a flat screen.
Yeah, I'm interested in macroeconomics, so I'm actually in the process of reading a lot of primary sources, because I want to be more educated in that regard. I'm like, it's a journey.
Well, I just look at it this way: the heinous ignorance that is behind a statement like, it's Russia's fault that we're undergoing all this bullshit with the energy markets. Really? They only supply less than 2.5% of our total energy imports. And I'm sure most of that is bunker oil that feeds either large freighter ships and stuff. It's not shit that we're pumping into our cars. The Europeans got a real quick refresher lesson in how valuable clean coal is once Russia cut off their gas supplies to the EU this summer.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I'm thankful is financially I'm not as impacted by the shit that's happening with the inflation and everything, all the cost of everything going up
Yeah,
20%.
no, yeah,
I think the only thing I'm thankful of, because I grew up very, very poor, like, single mom, poor, you know what I mean? And so every time I go to the gas station, I think, shit, people are so screwed right now. And I fill up and I go, I'm glad it doesn't affect me, but people are so fucked right now.
Oh, big time in a mobility culture like the United States, not so much Europe, because Europe has much more utilization of mass transit than the United States ever will, because of just the condensed size of the continent of Europe and how close everything is, relatively speaking. But over here, the poor bastard that has to drive 40 miles each way for work now, oh, he's screwed, man. Because
I lived in Germany I was in the army for a long time. So I lived in Germany. So I'm well aware of the bond there. And taxis are everywhere. And then you basically don't need I never had any need for a car the whole time I was living there.
No, hell no. I've spent enough time in Europe as well, in and out of the service, and I've seen the fruitlessness of owning a car, especially in the inner city environments, the urban environments, because their traffic's a bitch, and then you have so many countries on the continent that have really narrow streets, so you're not tooling around in a fucking Ford Expedition over there. Hell no.
I had a buddy. He had an SUV. Even like it was a small SUV by American standards, and he had such a hard time parking anywhere. It was hilarious. I actually lived on post, so I would just come out the gate, get in a cab, go to the bond, take a train. I mean, like no problem at all.
Yeah, the rail system in Europe is pretty happening, that's for sure. I rode the TGV a couple times in France, and I thought that was pretty badass. So you can just zip around at 290 miles an hour instead of these fucked up commuter train systems we have in the States that are breaking down every time we have a winter snowstorm and shit. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I live in the central United States now, and where I'm at, I would absolutely not move. I love it here. Although I love visiting Europe. It's the thing that I want to do, but I wouldn't live there. I would go visit, let's go to the summer and let's go to Paris, let's go to Berlin, let's go to Prague. I have a friend in Prague, and I'm making new friends in Portugal. There's a shit ton of people in Portugal in the community.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
For sure.
I know people in Amsterdam.
Yeah, one of my best buddies from Afghanistan is a Portuguese guy. He moved from Portugal to Canada and then became involved with the military in Canada after he became of age, and built a pretty good career out of that. And he's always telling me, gotta go to Portugal, and they were one of the countries that had a pretty good passport buy-in system, because a lot of people want to become expats should they strike it rich, and Portugal was definitely on the list of top 5 places to go if you're going to do that because of the incentives.
Anybody have any Pulsechain questions? I think that I'll just throw it out there. We're just chatting away, which is cool.
I think a lot of people are tuning up for the holiday weekend.
Yeah.
New developments as far as launch and anything?
No, Richard hasn't said anything. So we're still waiting on the developers to finish doing their migration from like what was posted already like a month and a half ago by Richard. Some of the validator and slashing code moved outside of the EVM, the contracts, moving that business logic into like the actual client, the Golang client. They're still working on that,
and we don't have an update on like how much progress they've actually made. They could be like literally done, and they're just testing it, or they could be halfway done. I mean, nobody knows. He hasn't actually given us like a good indication of like how far along we are on that. So I mean, they've been working on it for a while. So hopefully they're doing fine. You know what I mean? I wish technically that I could get more technical updates on like what actually they're doing. But we're all at the mercy of Richard's updates, unfortunately.
And they probably couldn't have picked a better time to do all these software revisions than right now because of the activity in the marketplace.
Well, I mean, so fundamentally, like technically, right now is the best time to do these updates because they would require a hard fork. And if the network was actually running and people were actually using it, it would be a lot harder for the devs to do it.
I'm sure
they would be effectively shutting the network down, and then they'd have to do the software updates, and then you have to bring it up. So like they decided to just do this part before we launched, which was technically easier. Although of course they could have done it after the fact, but you know, a lot of reasons.
Yeah,
I know
you never
there
want
was
to do road work during rush hour.
you know, I mean, so they fixed these issues, and I mean, one big reason why that Richard talked about on one of his tweets, and I think he did a video where he mentioned it too, was um, sorry, I just my app killed on me. Okay, so I'm back. So Richard said something to the effect, which is true. If slashing and like say the validator uh, code and the slashing code, like if that business logic is inside the EVM, that means they're inside a system contract, and that means they're inside of blocks, like the transactions, like what's happening is happening inside of the block space of the database, which is the blockchain. And so if you can remove that outside to the client, then all that data can be stored like on the machine and not inside the database, which frees up a lot of block space that's very, very valuable. And now how much block space are we talking about? It could be substantial. I don't know. I don't know what the percentage is. I can't even say what a number is because I have no idea. But I would say it's a substantial amount of system transactions happening inside the database, filling up block space, which is incredibly valuable. If you don't have that going on inside of the blockchain, inside of the database, not filling up blocks, then user transactions can go there. And you're also not limited by the speed of the blocks themselves, right? 3 second block, 3 second block, 3 second block. So that whole process can happen faster outside of the EVM in the client on the machine. So there's a lot of efficiencies built into that. Like that's kind of a gross, very overly simplistic, best understanding I have, being not like a blockchain dev. But it's understandable why they want to do it in the beginning, in the first place, and then doing it without the actual network running just makes it easier for them to make the changes, test it, do bug fixes, change code, redeploy. Like they can do all that stuff very, very quickly on private networks until they get it to where they need it to be, and then we can launch. Um, I would love for us to launch tomorrow, but we'll see how long
Gamma
we'll see how long it takes for them to do all that work.
Gamma, let me ask you a question, Gamma. So E2.0 is scheduled to launch in August. We're in July now. Is there any problems we may experience if we don't fork before they go to E2.0?
So, I mean, it's still the ETH 2.0 is actually two databases. One's the beacon chain, which is the validators, and then one's the execution environment, which is full nodes, or as of right now. And so we're effectively we're only forking the full nodes database, which is the Ethereum database that Geth uses. So realistically, it doesn't impact us that much. I'm sure the devs would have to deal with some code changes. Um, some issues would have to arise. I'm not sure exactly what would be entailed, but I mean, it's technically possible for us to fork it after. My intuition, and this is a pure guess on my part, would be it would be like easier if we did it before, right? But that may not be the case. It could be just as easy after the fact, or it could be, I don't know. Personally, I think it'd be beneficial, I don't know, from a pure marketing standpoint, for us to launch before ETH 2.0 and the merge happens. But that's a pure like business marketing kind of thing that I'm thinking. Uh, but technically, I think it would still be possible. All right. Well, I have to get off of here because we're gonna go see Minions, which is the new movie that just came out today. So
Good,
I will
good
be on
talking to
later.
you, bud. Good talking to you.
No problem. I'll be on later. And I asked one of the I posted in the admin chat to see if there's an admin who could come in here and hang out in case there's any problems. But since we're not muted, it's not a big deal.
I'm here, man.
Okay, later, man. Okay. Bye, everybody. It's been a pleasure.
And Crispy, you're here too, yeah?
I am.
Good, 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 because it's about 1:15 a.m. over here. Putting my kids to sleep pretty soon, and I may have to sign off after that. By the way, excellent work, man.
Yep. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm working on publishing, so we'll see. We shall see. I'm thinking that on my website I'll throw out probably first thing I'll put out there are the HEX monthly payouts. Less prone to error. People seem to want that quite a bit. So
It's also very sexy stuff.
oh yeah.
talking about the payouts per T-share?
No, in this case, a lot of people, because I see this as FUD all the time, right? You know, like right now, somebody will look at the staking chart and they'll say, we've got an awful lot of HEX coming out right now. But reality is, yeah, we do have a lot of HEX coming out this month, but we have a lot of HEX coming out every month. And but we've got that rolling amount. So I thought maybe showing based on the current daily payouts what the estimated payouts will be by month might be useful to people. So if I'm going to look, it's kind of like looking at the staking chart with hex.vision, where you can see where lots of hex comes out, but this is more numerical, right? So I can say, well, what in the next 6 months, what month has the least amount of hex? Maybe I want to stake in that month. So there's more of an opportunity to skim my interest and cash it in if that was my plan, or whatever somebody's plan might be. So looking into the future at the moment, you know, July of 2023, we only have 500 million hex that's expected to end that month. So that's better than 1 billion. So if I wanted to set a stake, that looks like a good time to stake until, you know, those types of things. People come up with their own strategies, but they don't have the information, you know. And then to add on to that, you know, to kind of dispel the, oh my God, there's 5 billion hex coming out this month of July. You can also show that, yeah, there's 5 billion, but 3 billion of those are rolling every month now. And so if they're rolling, then that really, you know, what it really is the risk of, you know, 5 billion coming out this month and being sold pretty low, right? Again, people can draw their own conclusions from numbers, but just trying to format that up now.
Very cool. I guess lower prices, they're less prone to have bigger dumps anyway, either.
Yeah, there's definitely that effect, right? I mean, I don't know what anybody else is thinking in their head, but because I also see that people play games, and I say that not in a negative fashion, just they do their thing, whatever their strategies are, and they all come together to do something. But I know that right now I'm looking to accumulate, not sell. So even when I look at the majority of this coming out, you're going to have, you know, a couple billion this month come out. That has probably a higher risk of being liquidated than 5 billion, whatever those numbers really are, and how much risk I don't know. But I'll bet you most of it just rolls. You know, I have a stake coming out in July. What am I going to do with it? I'm going to restake it. That's my plan. So just like we were talking about.
Staking ladder is where it's at, man.
Unbelievable, man. I got to tell you. I mean, I know I said this to you in DM. I mean, I already knew that, but I mean, seeing it in a different fashion just proves it even more, you know. I was working with somebody really late last night for a few minutes on something, and just the amount of yield that you get from going out 1 year versus 1 month is crazy, of course, right? But then the good in between is, let's say for some reason somebody desperately wants to do monthly stakes. Makes a whole lot more sense to do that in a laddered fashion in terms of yield than it does to do a monthly, 30 days, 30 days, 30 days. Because you get eaten about 1% of your yield power per month. It just keeps going down and down and down.
As of January next year, I will have a rolling 15-year staking ladder. Complete, finally.
Oh, really nice. So my interpretation of what you said is at that time, you'll have a stake come out. You'll decide whether it's a good time to skim some of that or not. And then whatever you decide not to skim, you'll throw out 15 years.
Yep, it's almost an exclusive market unto itself.
Yep, agreed.
And I really, really, really value. It's funny when the Wall Street Bets crypto dude was asking more detailed information of the hexagons as to what their average staking length was, because overwhelmingly, feedback was overwhelmingly hex related when he says, bark out your favorite cryptos and we'll go X amount into them. And almost every post was from a hexagon. Then more information about, well, how long is the average? But they know the average, but what are you guys really staked out for? I was surprised that everyone said, well, I got annual stakes, and staking ladder means annual to me. But I really value constant interaction with the smart contract. I say this all the time. I need to interact with it to have something to look forward to. It's motivational, it's current, it's alive, and it's part of my process. If I had to wait a year until I get to touch it, it's not fun. So I'd rather pay a premium for a monthly staking ladder than an annual one just for that reason.
It's funny you say that. I've concluded that myself. I was kind of feeling like my quarterly stakes, waiting 3 months, is putting undue stress on me, requiring me to look more. Because I'm always waiting for that 3 months to come. So yeah, monthly, that makes sense to me in that fashion. I know you take on the extra load because now you have to worry about getting back in every month and doing it, but month's not too bad. I don't like weekly so much because that's a little bit too much load. But I can
Yeah,
see monthly
but
for sure.
well, that's why what started the entire conversation between you and I. Me asking when, from a day one staker, would that 5555 restake, when would that not be something that you could gain from anymore, gain more T-shares? And judging by your new estimates, it's 2029, right?
Yeah, roughly around 2029. I'm chasing down a rounding error that happens with very small stakes because, and Richard explained this one time. I won't go into great detail, but I have some anomalies that show up where my predictions are way off, right? Because when you get down to like 1 heart or 10 hearts, you really have to get into the world of shift left math, and which I don't even understand what the hell that means yet. I need somebody really smart to explain it to me. But I just understand that the lower the number gets, the more inaccurate you can become if you try to use regular math for it. So there's some things that I need to bring out of that, out of that model, or figure out how to do the right calculations. I've been kicking some ideas around with people and talking a little bit with Kyle. See if I can get down to it. You know, on the surface, when we do our math, we go, oh, T-share, right? And I get this much for T-share. But all of our calculations are really done in hertz, not in T-share, not in regular decimals, right? And so you almost have to break it all the way down to the heart level, which means what's your inflation in hertz, what's your payout in hertz, what's the T-share cost in hertz, all that to be able to get to the most accurate numbers. But yeah, 2029 looks like the range, but that's not including a ramp up of payouts.
Oh, right. That would skew it for sure. If we go from
Yeah,
6 to 20, yeah, that would be a big deal.
yeah, and even if it's not that big, because it would gradually maybe increase over time. Your 2026 number probably looks realistic, right? That's what I mean. Is some of the stuff you get into, you try to analyze it, you're like, well, shoot, or somebody already guessed that it's going to be 2026. Hey, it looks like it might be 2026. It's like confirmation over and over again, you know?
But you came up with 2029, 3 years later than my gut
Yeah, I
estimate.
did. Yeah, so far. Yep. So
Not
far.
like that better.
Yeah, of course. If I'm staking, I want to get as much as I can earlier and not see things go up so quickly. And that's good for adoption as well, right? I mean, we want people to be able to come in and earn. You know, otherwise, what's the whole point, right? So that's where the system just continues to prove itself out. I also see, I think other people do this, maybe other people have said it this way. I see the Quattro Cinco stakes as being one of the ways that I can support the entire ecosystem. So it's part of an entire strategy, not the only strategy.
Right on.
Almost, so much of original thought obviously comes from Richard because he came up with the system with his devs, and so a lot of it sounds like recycling. But there really is that whole statement about new stakers. How did he frame it? About new stakers are really, or existing stakers are really borrowing or getting financial or economic energy from new stakers, and it's kind of like a trade-off. And the system is really very accurate. So if I had a bag that I'm staking and I stake it over a ladder, I'm really, even though I like the big numbers in 15 years, I don't know that I'll be around, right? So what's the purpose of doing that, right? The purpose is to help maybe your own family, right? Maybe that's what it is, right? You're going to leave something. Or the purpose is, maybe another purpose is to help the entire system by putting those out there. You know, and a stronger system overall also helps the mid and short-term guys, of which I'm one of, right? So because I have a ladder.
Yep. Yeah, I like to think that it's all the above, and when considering, you know, that your needs will change substantially between now and 15 years from now. You may need in-house care, in-home care. You may need more medications. You may need longevity treatment. You never know. Whatever it is, you'll probably have different needs. And some of those will be medical, and some of those will be maybe your wife or your loved ones. Maybe your grandkids have medical things that they've got to, address. And it's beyond your collective family's means to address them. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what money's for. Just like Richard says, right? Losing the game, having all the money in the world, losing the game is not where it's at. So that's what I plan my 15-year stake for.
Not a bad goal at all. I'm not sure everybody uses this term, but the idea of being self-insured is a big concept to get your head around. And that's what that speaks to me about, is being self-insured.
Ostatnie 10 lat, omijając całkowicie zmianę życia. Zresztą prawdopodobnie było z rynkiem internetowym. A co by było, gdybym miał sklep?
That's one thing about having everybody unmuted. We're going to get lots of that good old open mics again. People yelling, isn't there a mod that can just mute this guy? What's going on? He's been on there for like a half hour with Telemundo in the background.
Telemundo. I was just watching Telemundo the other day. No kidding.
Yeehaw!
Unpredictable.